better, and with each passing day this market is only telling you that if you participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and time for our viewer queries. We have our experts today, Hemen Kapadia as well as Gaurang Shah. So quickly, let's get going with our queries. The first one that we have is from Nudula, and she's saying she's holding 100 shares of Godrej Properties for the last 1 year. But after what exactly happened with DB Realty and the company coming back and taking back that announcement, she's wondering whether she should shift to Shobha or Oberoi Realty. So she wants to know what's the opinion from you, Gaurang, on this particular front. What should she do? Should she actually look to move from Godrej Properties based on this news piece development and go to Shobha or Oberoi Realty?
Cheryl, we used to have coverage on Godrej Properties some time back, but after the rally that we saw, most of the real estate stocks, our target price were in place, and we have not covered it post that. And this sector is also high beta. No specific comments on Godrej Properties, but I think investors should be a little bit careful. First of all, a very steep rally in the real estate stocks and then a correction, and the sector still remains a high beta. If you do want to make a switch to something else, then I think IT sector has corrected fairly in terms of valuation. And over there, I think Tech Mahindra looks more suitable in case if she wants to make an alternative investment.
Hemen, I'm not sure if you have coverage on this based on volumes, etc. Udaipur Cement is the name of the counter. We've got a viewer, Narayan, who's bought at levels of 41.35 3 months back with a 6-month view. The stock is currently at 35.8. Would you be able to give him a bit of advice as to what he should do with this?
Yeah, the listing in NSE is very recent. Alex, BSE has more data. We've had a brilliant run up from 7 to 51, 52. And now we walked into a cool off, and we have remained corrected for the 6.5 months or so. Alex, honestly, going nowhere, and if it has gone from 7 to 52, expect it to not do anything major for the next maybe even 6 months or so. In terms of levels, support comes in at 33.50, 29, resistance 39.45. I'd say a hold, but only if it's a hold for a year or more, because normally if it's a multi-bagger stock like this, and we enter a correction of a greater degree, it takes a lot of time, and I believe the correction is nowhere close to ending. Alex.
This one is from Raghunandan, and he's saying that he's purchased 350 shares of Poonawalla FinCorp at the price of 177 rupees per share, with the hope that it has the potential to become the next Cholamandalam or a poor man's Bajaj Finance. What's your view on this one, Gaurang?
Well, I would rather go with Bajaj Finance or Cholamandalam because that's where we have a coverage. And, there was a lot of news flow on this particular stock, Poonawalla Finance. We don't cover the stock, so I won't be able to comment. But of the two alternatives, I think they are more suited. If the investor wants to make a switch to either of them, I think that would be a better proposition.
Coming back to you, Gaurang, on MTAR Tech, and this is a question coming in from Aarti. She's asking whether now would be a good time to accumulate this stock. What would you say based on the fundamentals? Stock is currently trading at 2,078.
One of the stocks that we covered when the IPO was about to hit the street, Alex, and we had subscribed, a long-term subscribe to the IPO. This company, MTAR Technologies, is a niche play in terms of nuclear, science, space technology, etc., etc. And ISRO is one of the clients amongst the other very well-established names. The stock has gone up across 2,000, as you rightly mentioned. Since we have a coverage, we did cover it on the IPO from a long-term perspective. I think a phased out buying in parts would be a better approach to investing in MTAR Technologies.
One is from Rajendra Prasad, and he's saying, I'm stuck with 100 shares of Cadila Health purchased a year ago. I want to shift to some good long-term name. Could you share some names as well in any of the sectors? What's your take on this one, Gaurang, then? For long-term, Cadila Health, no doubt last year everyone actually were pretty excited on this particular counter with the fact that their venture into the COVID-19 vaccine front did not transpire as per the timeline. What should Rajendra do with his 100 shares of Cadila? Should he shift to some other names? If so, then which one for the longer term?
Pharma did give its performance, Cheryl, since we were hit with this pandemic. And as we all know, India is the pharma city of the world, and it will remain so for a pretty long period of time. And I think post second quarter, the concerns were there in terms of up moves, because some of the pharma names did not report in line. Even for the third quarter, there is nothing much exciting as far as what I have noticed. So we do maintain a positive view on Cadila Health, but in case if the investor wants to make an alternative switch to some other sector, then I mentioned about IT, Tech Mahindra. Banking looks extremely interesting right now with the numbers improving in the third quarter, especially for the public sector bank. And over there, if I have to name one bank as an alternative investment idea, then in terms of the valuation, if I have to suggest one, I think State Bank of India, close to about 520 or 530 where it is trading right now, looks extremely attractive post the third quarter numbers.
Okay. Hemen, this is a question on Jubilant Pharma. I'm guessing Niranjan bought on the way down. It has lost about 50% of its value over the last 12 months. He's bought at levels of 646 or thereabouts. And he's wondering whether to hold on at this juncture. What's the view here? It's trading significantly below its 200-day moving average as well.
Alex, it's in a short, medium and long-term downtrend. There is nothing to suggest an imminent reversal. All the mechanical indicators are in sell mode. It's a bit oversold. Yes, if it virtually falls off a cliff, after some time it gets oversold. But there is no follow-up price action to suggest there is a corrective bounce. So I don't see anything particularly enduring. I guess it's a sell on bounce. Even a bounce is elusive. So I guess it's a sell, because I'm not sure if the situation changes later. As of now, on no technical parameters, does it warrant a hold, Alex?
Harsh Ranjan, he's saying he's invested in MGL at the level of 950 rupees per share for the last 5 years. He's saying he's actually taken for the 5-year horizon. He said 1 year has passed, so can hold on for the next 4 years. Should I stay invested or book loss? What's your take on this one, Gaurang? Should he stay invested in MGL or book loss?
Cheryl, alternative clean and green fuel is a very interesting sector to be in. The only problem is, as of now, the infrastructure in terms of availability of clean and green fuel, that is CNG, is a little bit of restricted in terms of the boundaries. Moment you go and hit the outskirts on expresses and highways, you find it difficult to refill your tank. But the government is working on it. What I'm given to understand is that there is pan-India infrastructure distribution pipeline work in place. Some parts they have completed it, other parts I think we'll have soon. So if you have a 5-year time horizon, I think with that kind of a time horizon, you should have tremendous amount of ground level reality turning in terms of availability and distribution pipeline being in place. Remain positive on Mahanagar gas with a longish time horizon. If you have a small quantity, use corrections like what we are witnessing today to accumulate the stock.
Okay. We've got questions coming in. Heyman, if you can once and for all put this to rest, I won't ask other questions on these. Stocks that are extremely high beta in nature, what would you advise? Because we get questions on stocks like Vakrangi, where people have traditionally lost money on. How does one approach these?
I mean, there's no quick fix about it, frankly speaking. Excuse me, Alex. 32 years and counting the stock market. I don't think there is any way you can get away unscathed if you invest in stocks like this. Stay away. Buy one Tata Steel, buy one Infosys, buy 5 Infosys, but stick to quality, track record, management. No. It's strictly no. Even cryptos could give a better option if you study them and stick to merited projects. But this, I don't think it's painful either way. So no solution. I don't think there's any answer to this, Alex. Just avoid it completely. You can bet on horses if you want. Maybe that gives you better odds, but strictly no to something like this. It just doesn't work.
Coming in from Heyman Kapadia, please stick to quality names. Avoid going into these high beta stocks or penny stocks for the matter of fact. Let's move on. And Heyman, this one is for you. This one is coming from Shailaja. She wants to know whether she should buy Godrej Consumer and Grindwell Norton at current price for the short term. Either of these counters, either GCPL or Grindwell, which one should she look at for the shorter term at current market price?
Godrej Consumer is in a short and medium term downtrend, Cheryl. Support comes in 850. At 850 breaks in terms of closing, it'll sink without a trace another 50 rupees. So currently, I don't see a buy, but yes, a high risk, keep a stop loss just below 850, expect a bounce till 900, but once again, it's a high risk strategy, simply because it's close to very strong supports and it's not breaking. That is why it's a high risk strategy. Grindwell Norton has just finished a small distribution pattern on the daily charts. It formed a rounding top, which is basically bearish formation. No, there is no buy in Grindwell Norton, I'm sorry.
Okay, fair enough. Gaurang, we spoke about Bharti Airtel earlier today. We've got a question coming in from Sudha on Vodafone Idea. Now, the fortunes seem to have turned a little bit for the counter, but is it enough to suggest that you can buy for the long term?
Yeah, it's a big question mark, Alex. When you have a company which is into cellular service sector and a company which continuously goes on losing subscriber base to the tune of 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs month on month, the big question mark is at the end of the day or the time period, what will it service to in case if you go on losing that kind of a subscriber base. Secondly, this sector is highly capital intensive. You need to have capital invested in the upgradation of the existing technology, and along with that, you have to plan for the next move or the migration from 4G to 5G as and when it happens. I wouldn't really be, hoping against all odds for betterment. I would rather stick to quality names. And as my good friend Heyman mentioned, well, if you want to do this, then there are other alternatives. Why do you want to run down your money like this? So Bharti Airtel and Reliance Industries, because of Jio business, remains to be top investment ideas.
This one is from Abhijit, and he wants a take on Manappuram Finance. What's your take on this one, Heyman? How does this particular counter look on the charts to you? If Abhijit is looking to enter into this counter, what sort of a levels should he look at? And if he's already invested, then what sort of a target should he eye?
I wish we had a time frame in place, Cheryl, but a short-term bottom is in place. Stock is oversold. Downside appears limited. Support comes in at 154, 146. A close above 162 followed by a close above 174 would trigger off even a medium-term recovery. I don't think there's much to lose. A bounce is on the anvil. Hold as of now with the aforesaid levels as stop losses. Further upside seems very much possible. I think if the markets don't melt big time, 174 seems to be on the cards in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Sure.
Okay. Gaurang, this is a question coming from Naresh, but I think a lot of our viewers will benefit from this. What are the 3 or 4 stocks that you can suggest that an individual investor can build on, add to their portfolio, and then keep adding over the course of the next several months, considering the kind of context that we're in right now?
Well, Alex, I think it's a more sensible question in this kind of times. So I'll list 4 different sectors and I'll pick one preferred investment idea on which we have fundamental long-term coverage. The first one would be IT, because IT sector has given you a correction post the third quarter earnings, and I think these are great times to nibble into IT stocks. So TCS, forget about the buyback. I will never advise any investor to subscribe or to tender the share for the buyback. Stay invested at whatever price the buyback is. That's a different story. So TCS would be from IT. Axis Bank would be from private sector bank. Dalmia Bharat from cement, and from the FMCG sector, I think I would pick Tata Consumer Products. So these are some 4 investment ideas for a common investor who doesn't want to go anywhere, don't want to scout around in 6,000 plus universe of stocks that are listed on NSE, BSE. Stick to these 4 names, do an SIP, and have a 3 to 5 year time horizon.
I've taken note of that. Very rarely Gaurang has given his top 4 investment ideas for our viewers. Let me move on and let me bring on board a question coming in from Harish. He's saying that he's asking whether he can buy IRCTC for the shorter term. He wants to enter afresh in this particular counter. What's your take on this one, Hemant? Do you think that Harish should go ahead and buy IRCTC at current market price for the shorter term?
It's in a neutral zone, frankly speaking, Cheryl. It's moved sideways for 14 weeks. There's no directional bias whatsoever. Even then, if he does insist on taking a trade, stop loss at 820, target of 900. I don't see it as a compelling trade as of now, honestly, Cheryl.
Okay. All right. We've got a question coming in on Tata Consumer. And this is a question coming in from Neville. He's bought at levels of 629. Would you hold or sell at this point based on what you're seeing on the charts, Hemant?
If it's a longer term view, I think it's a hold. If the stock moves from 220 to almost 890, it's time for a time and price retracement. That's what we are undergoing. So hold if you have a time frame of 1 year or more. We walked into an intermediate correction, which still doesn't seem to be in a mode to end in a jiffy.
With that, let's kickstart our rapid fire segment of the show. And this one is coming from Varun. He's saying he's invested in Akzo Nobel 2 years ago at a price of 1900 rupees per share. Should I stay put as it is cheaper or switch to Asian Paints? What should he do, Gaurang?
Well, Asian Paints is something that we cover and it's one of the top picks amongst the paint universe companies. So Asian Paint would be a better idea.
Okay, Jacob's got a question. This one's for you, Hemant. First Source Solutions, bought at levels of 167. Would you suggest a hold at this juncture?
A high risk hold, stop loss of 136, resistance at 169.
All right, Justin wants to know which is the best chemical stock to invest in for the shorter term up to 6 months. What's your take, Hemant?
I'm going for something like a stock nitride.
Nalco Feb Futures and Hemant, I think the strike is 110. He's in the money. Should he get out of the trade now?
If he has 2, I think he can book partial profit. We are in a short, medium, long term uptrend. Resistance at 128. We'll expect supply over there. But just to make it safe, take some profit.
Vignesh wants a long-term view on HUL. He's already holding 20 shares at the price of 2450 rupees per share. Can he average at this point in time? What's your take, Gaurang?
Definitely average. I think the volume growth was a little bit disappointment for the third quarter, but India remains to be a consumption-driven theme, and HUL is one of the top picks amongst the FMCG leaders.
All right, we've got a question. We got several questions. In fact, the next one is from Srinivas, and he's talking about AstraZeneca India. Do you have coverage, Gaurang? If so, he's holding on. Should he continue to hold?
Unfortunately, we don't have a coverage, but I have looked at the company and the company is quite strong. Won't comment on buy sell.
All right, gentlemen, we leave it at that. We've come to the end of the query segment as well as the rapid fire part of it. Thank you so much, Gaurang, as well as Hemen for joining us on the show, giving us a take on Bharti Airtel, helping resolve viewer queries. Hemen, thank you for the sound advice for all of our viewers. And Gaurang, thank you for sharing the 4 investment ideas for our viewers. But on that note, we'll slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But stay tuned, more on the other side, so don't go anywhere.